Greetings and welcome to the Semicolon Podcast. My name is Cantave, and it is a great pleasure to have you here joining me today for episode number 5 of the Semicolon Podcast, where we seek to answer one main question. And that question is, does the story continue or does it end? Here at the Semicolon, the whole purpose of this podcast is to discuss relevant matters and situations happening in our society, decisions that are being made, events that are taking place, and providing you with a fresh perspective, information, and even ideas of what's taking place around us that impacts our lives, and to give you the encouragement to keep moving forward no matter what. Because at the end of the day, life continues, and so will we. And so today on episode number 5, we will be talking about money, specifically our national funds, the money of the country, our budget and so forth. So the question is, though, the question that needs to be answered, in addition to whether the situation regarding our financial stewardship will continue or will it end, is where is our money? Where is our money? Where is our money? Because if we take a good look at St. Maarten right now, we see an island that from its past was known for being wealthy. An island that was known for having a robust and thriving economy. An island that did so well that it opened up its borders to hundreds of people. Thousands of people actually. Hundreds of nationalities, to the point where we boast about having, an island which has one of the smallest land mass, but has such a diversity, of different cultures and groups and ethnicities, because this island did so well. And we know that one of the main reasons why people migrate, why people travel, is to have a better life, is to be able to improve or help their families. Well, we said, we are in need of people to work. We are in need of people to assist us in building this island and assist us in basically grabbing hold of the great wealth and riches that was being poured into this island. Because at one point in the early set of tourism, it was, this island was just booming. This island had so much business that to the point where St. Maarten had too much jobs. Imagine that. What a blessing. The fact that you would have too much jobs. And so as a result, we told specifically persons in the region and persons from major continents and different countries, they were like, we will come here too. We will settle down and build our livelihood alongside you, alongside the St. Maarten people. And so we have this melting pot today because of the golden goose that laid many golden eggs. However, today, when we start looking for more pieces of omelet, of all these golden eggs that were loose, that were laid, sorry, not loose, we ask ourselves then, where's the wealth? Where's the money? Where's the riches? Where are the opportunities? Where is our money? And so, thankfully, we've had many reports, and many audits, investigations that were done that showcase the issue at hand, which has always been a matter of poor financial stewardship, poor management. But will that continue or will it end? So today we're going to be looking at the matter of financial stewardship and why is it that St. Maarten is in the situation where it is today, where unfortunately to an extent we've almost become a nation of beggars. And in a form of having to depend on foreign aid, even though it's from the Netherlands. While there was so much money that flowed through this island, while there were so many people who've been able to become wealthy because of the opportunities, the capabilities, the wealth of this land itself. But why is there such a huge inequality? Why is it that we now need money from elsewhere to, for example, build a performance arts center, something that we could have invested in? Why is it that we need money from elsewhere to fix our schools and rebuild our schools, something that we could have invested in? Why is it that we need money from elsewhere to be able to develop and build our sports facilities and our stadiums and so forth when we had the ability, when we could have done it for ourselves. We could have done it for ourselves. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. We had the money, but where is our money? Where did it go? And where is it going? Because there's not that much great change. That has to change. But before I go further, I do want to share with you a great opportunity. Speaking about money, but something that will bring you a bit more joy. And what I'm referring to is an exclusive offer you don't want to miss. The Bella Beach Hotel got a quick thing going on right now where you can get a 4-night stay for the price of 3. This limited special was literally created with your comfort, convenience, and cheerfulness in mind for double occupancy at only $235. Give them a quick call at 542-3366. That's 542-3366 for a smooth booking process, or email reservations@bellairbeach.com. One more time, that's reservations@bellairbeach.com. It includes a continental breakfast and other amenities, but book now before this offer expires. Alright guys, welcome back to the Semicolon Podcast. That was a quick word from our sponsor, the Bella Beach Hotel. And again, be sure to check out that exclusive deal that you just can't miss. And so, back to the money, back to the question about where is our money. The reason why I found this topic necessary to discuss for today's episode is because no matter how you look at it, to an extent, money answers a lot of things. Money can often be the solution or the application, the use of money, the solution to problems that you have in life. And from a national perspective, there are so many ideas. There are even plans. There are areas that need investments. There are people and organizations that need support. But oftentimes we're not able to give and invest and contribute because of the fact that we say we don't have money, that government don't have enough money. And so often the response that you get is, well, we need to do a better job at tax collection and collecting our taxes. Now, it's often been said or probably rumored that our tax compliance rate is about 33%, around there. So there's never really been a hard proof or a report to say to really back that up, but that's just what is commonly believed. But the thing that, so going back to the issue at hand though, is that even though, let's say we're definitely only collecting, the tax compliance is only 33%, out of that 33%, how well are we managing those finances? How well are we ensuring that the budget that governments create and that Parliament approves and is also signed on by the governor, who is a representative of the king? Those are just, to show you the steps of, the budgetary process and how our system works. Why is it that continuously, I'm just going to read off something here from a highlight of this report. Why is it that continuously, when you look at the various financial statements reports from our country, the summary or the opinion of the General Audit Chamber, for example, which is the organization that has a responsibility to audit government finances and improve checks and balances, etc. Why is it that in many of their reports, I will always find, in our opinion, you could put any year, 2021, 2019, 2017, 2013, 2018, no matter the year. You can put any year and the report will read, or they will mention, in our opinion, the year, for example, 2021, financial statements, along with the explanatory notes, do not present a true and fair view of the financial position. So, the financial statements that government has a responsibility to produce every year, that Parliament approves and basically gives a decision to discharge a Minister of Finance by stating, you know what, we agree that Everything that was budgeted for was spent and allocated in the correct manner. There was no unethical deeds done. Everything was done with integrity, with accountability. We fact-checked, we called in the minister for discussions. We got proper updates on what government said it would do. We are going to discharge the minister and say that, you know what, you did a great job. Reality is, though, that never happened to this day. That never happened. We've never had a proper financial statement. The Audit Chamber, and before it reaches the Audit Chamber, it goes through an accounting bureau, SOAB. They've never been able to provide, an audit that said, great job, St. Maarten, you're right, you're on the right path. You're on your way towards, great financial success. So I have to acknowledge that despite that, there has been improvements. Now, part of the reason, if we'll be honest though, that there has been improvements is because, unfortunately, we've had someone, in this case being the Netherlands, basically as we're working, laser focused on what St. Maarten is doing. They've just been like, you know what? I want to know what this country is doing. What is St. Maarten doing? Is St. Maarten doing, what it's supposed to do, or just St. Maarten just running around doing whatever, or being negligent? For those of you who know the story, or the story of the ants and the grasshopper, is St. Maarten the ant or St. Maarten the grasshopper? So, because of, in my estimation, unnecessary supervision, and I say unnecessary because we should have what it takes to do what needs to be done, but because of that supervision and that oversight, our island has been in a position where the Netherlands had to force St. Maarten to, for example, ensure that the financial statements, the statements that, at the end of the year, basically state that here is how the country's expenses and income, has been handled, and this is all, that encompasses the management of your money, They are the one who had to light some pressure under our backside, if I have to say it like that, to enable us to one, actually complete the financial statements that were not done for so many years, and then secondly, to improve upon the way in which we manage our country's finances. But the issue at hand is simply that it's a two-way street, in the sense that it's not just in the hands of the ministers and them being able to make decisions as to where money is allocated. Under the ministers, you have the civil servants, various departments. And those departments, they have policy workers, they have staff and projects and plans and responsibilities that need money, that need financing. And so they send it to the ministers. Then the ministers approve. And the ministers send it to Parliament. All of that has to happen in a certain time frame, by the way. And for as long as St. Maarten has had its government, it has always been submitted late. That's another point. Nonetheless, the Parliament then debates the proposal, the ideas, the proposed management of the funds and the allocation of money, which in essence is a law, by the way. The budget, the country's budget is a law. They decide whether or not all that is written on paper, you have my stamp of approval, and it is now law, and if there's needs for amendments, then you bring it over, we debate it, discuss it, make some changes, and you go out and execute what we ratified as a parliament. Therefore, one of the solutions to this dilemma actually ties back into your ability to vote. Now you may ask yourself, well, as a voter, how can I influence, government's finances? You can, based on who you select to be in a position to give oversight, to give accountability, to ensure that there's checks and balance with the direction, the stewardship, the management of my money and your money, and your future. Because based on how those funds are applied and based on how those funds are distributed, it determines the quality of life you have in the future. That is a simple connection. And so Parliament, or members of Parliament, the 15 of them, though we have a situation where many of them, a good number of them, don't go to work, and that's a reality. They do not show up to work. They simply don't. So that's part of where our money is going. Well, that's one answer. going towards paying persons who don't work and yet still allowed to have extra curricular activities, so businesses and so forth. Just bear that in mind. So our decision to vote for persons who will ensure that they provide proper and rigid oversight, when it comes to the budget, when it comes to the end of year review of financial statements, ensuring that one, for example, that the function of various ministers, so information on operational management, and as well as that relevant information on how government's promises that they made into law by, allocating funds in a budget, that they are realized. Simply because what we have encountered is that we started wrong from the get-go. So I'm just going to read a brief paragraph from the 2011 financial statement. Then I'm going to read one from the 2021 financial statement. So this is how we started. In the 2011 financial statement report, it mentions in the year 2011, the financial management of country St. Maarten was not in order. There was inadequate internal control procedures noted at all ministries. As a result, the annual financial statements include numerous errors and uncertainties with your money. The various improvement plans with regards to financial management have not been implemented by the Council of Ministers at that time and have experienced delay due in part to a shortage in capacity. So we often hear, especially with this current regime, often hear the statement, we lack capacity. But what was done with the finances that we have in the past, or had in the past, to ensure that the areas where we lack capacity, be it in the tax office, be it in the education department, be it in general affairs, in the financial, in VROMI, whichever ministry, where is the investment? Where is our money? Where did it go? I know that we, part of what St. Maarten invests in, what a great offer or opportunity is persons who, have had the privilege to be able to receive study financing. But how are we tracking that? How are we ensuring that the investments that we make, the persons that we send out to study, are studying affairs and matters that will help build this country, but at the same time, investing at home in an environment that makes it conducive, that makes it appealing for them to want to come back home and say, I want to lift my nation up by the bootstraps. I want to give back. So these are various things that we have to consider that is so important, because it starts from who you select, who you color in and say that I want you to represent me, this whole country, and make decisions for our future. So to show you how unfortunate the scenario is, already I mentioned that the financial statements were submitted late. St. Maarten went 3-4 years without any financial statements submitted to Parliament. So imagine then how much money is unaccounted. Imagine how many millions are unaccounted for because there was no proper stewardship, management of your money. How many ministers got away with overinflated invoices? How many civil servants as well have accomplished the same? Because if I'm a civil servant or SG, and this is not for all of them, but there are some bad apples, and that is a fact. That is a fact. If I'm a SG or civil servant, and I already recognize that the minister who's there probably won't last for 2 years, right? And already the system is so behind, whether intentionally or because of lack of capacity. Imagine how much stuff you could get away with, so that by time an actual audit, an actual report is submitted, the government done passed already, the minister is already discharged, because the multiple parliaments at that time, they were like, yeah, you done said it late already, I'll just give it a stamp of approval. But what are you approving? You're approving a document, you're approving a budget, you're approving a statement that basically says the way in which the ministers, the way in which even the civil corps made use of the funds they said they would have used for whether infrastructure projects, education projects, social aid, housing, you name it. If they decide, you know what, I don't feel like doing that right now. Let's say that for another government. Oh, I have a new project in mind, and you know what, I want to outsource and actually spend more money paying consultants and third parties instead of building the actual civil code that I have. When you have all these decisions that are made contrary to what is in black and white, contrary to rule, to order, it is no wonder, it is simply no wonder that St. Maarten is in a position where it's in today, where we have hundreds of millions of debt looming over our heads because we did not make use of what we had properly. We did not steward what we had the right way. He who is faithful in little is also faithful in much. And consider that when you vet a candidate. If your person, sorry to say, is someone who has a proven track record of being a bad business person, you know, of having to depend on government to be able to succeed in business, that's probably not someone who can ensure that there's proper accountability, proper, you know, checks and balances for the nation's finances. So here's an excerpt from the 2021 financial statements. The 2021 financial statements, like those of all preceding years, could be more reliable, making it difficult, if not impossible, to use the actual figures to prepare government's subsequent budget. Parliament needs to be provided with sufficient insight to make a substantive assessment of whether there was sound financial management and whether policy objectives were achieved. So when you have an unreliable budget, you know what that means? It means that the budget that is prepared for the following year is one that is not prepared based on sound data and sound information. It's unreliable. It's untrustworthy. There's not enough accreditation to it. And so the one that is prepared after, so the budgets that are prepared for our future, the budgets that are prepared for the next year, don't have depth. They don't have value in a sense. It's hard to say it like that. They lack substance. And so you have decisions that are being made by just winging it. You know, just put your finger in your mouth and you stick it up in the air. Where's the wind blowing today? No, but what about measurements? What about measurements? What about tools, resources available to ensure accountability, to ensure correct measures? We have them in place, but we are not using it. And there's so many other stuff I can mention, to the point where, for example, one of the things that has existed through many years is the Council of Ministers. Not just this one, but those in the past would continually inflate the budget for the cabinet. But when you look at the persons who are in the cabinet, family members, friends, campaign supporters, where are the professionals? Another example is the representation allowance that ministers and parliamentarians get in addition to their salary. In addition to their salary, all the travel that they do, first class, per diem, every day you get an X amount of, dollars or euros, depends on the country you go to be able to take care of yourself. Where's our money going? So, in a sense, we gotta stop complaining. It don't make no sense complaining about the road. It don't make sense complaining about education, complaining about the police, complaining about the prison, complain about healthcare, because the representatives we choose are not doing an adequate job at providing oversight. And the issue you have is that if you have opposition that is not as strong, and you can't just depend on the opposition. At the end of the day, we are voting for all members of parliament. Whether you're part of the coalition or not, you have a responsibility to ensure oversight, because your oath is to the country. Your oath is not to your party. Your party is weak. Your party is weak. A lot of them have proven themselves to be weak. With constant changes, ship jumping. Where are we going, St. Maarten? Where's your money going? Where did it go? There are so many reports. I just referenced small highlights of two of them because it's a lot. And I enjoy reading them because it really opens up your mind to see that we are the ones that are cutting off our nose You know that meme with somebody on a bicycle and they put a spoke in the wheel and throw themselves down and blame somebody else? Nah. That's how we have been, Maarten. That's how we have been. With this experiment that we've went through, this 10-10-10, this new constitutional status that we have, again, I understand the nature of colonialism. And I will be doing an episode on it because colonialism has its part to play. But we must first deal with ourselves. I'm here to first deal with you, with Maarten, with the voters as well. You know, you have a responsibility to play. So where's our money going? Definitely not into your pockets. And that has to change. So with that, I would like to thank you so much for joining me on the Semicolon podcast, and be sure to tune in again next week where the podcast launches every Tuesday at 10 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube. For now, it'll be a visual podcast, but it will be coming on audio platforms soon, so be sure to look out for that announcement. And again, feel free to support it any way you can, just by subscribing to the YouTube channel, liking up the Facebook page, sharing, commenting, sending it to persons, and even providing feedback. All of that is appreciated. We are here to find out whether this situation here, for example, will it continue or will it end? All I can say is, let's see, and God bless you. Until next time.